Hi there, Rick here. Um, want to talk about my MSN app this morning. My money app. Okay. Um, so you can see right here. Okay. Um, gold just a little while ago. Okay. Um, it had a retraction. Think about as much as about $300-400. Um, and then silver retracted, I think, all the way down to like $47. So that was about a $5 movement back. But since then, it's bounced back. Um, Yesterday, gold went up as much as $58. Okay. Um, Silver went up yesterday about $1.75. Okay. These price jumps, now I'm talking about silver. Okay. Um, it was just amazing to see how big the price jumps in silver is these days. $1.74. This morning it's up $1.53. It's approaching its high again. Okay. I heard that in Japan there was literally a lineup going around the block for gold because they were looking for a hedge for inflation, right? And yeah, people are buying gold. And I was just going to say, too, that, gold is out of reach for a lot of people now, okay? Because, look, 1 ounce of gold, $6,000, okay? Um, it's not there yet again. It has to reach about $4,300, which is not far, okay? It's what? About another, um, let's see, about another $150, okay? But, if it's going up, 8%, a week sometimes, right? Um, you'll be there in no time, okay? Remember I was talking a while back, a few months ago, gold was having a lot of resistance at breaking 3,500, okay? Look, it blew by it, right? It's almost $650 higher than that now, okay? Um, Silver is kind of interesting because um, for the past 50 years, 50, 60 years, okay, it's traded, okay, in the range of what? Um, I was going to say, 25 to $50. And, it just couldn't break out of that. Well, I was going to say $50 range for like decades, right? Um, I'm surprised that the mainstream media is not talking more about it because um, the last time it broke $50 was back in 1980, okay? And you can see that, okay, it's just blew by $50. It's about $2 and 17 cents higher, okay? I think there will be a time when uh, gold and silver, okay, they won't have these um, $100 jumps anymore. Okay, it'll literally be $200-300. Silver will be as much as um, $15. Okay, overnight jumps. Okay, um, they say that um, some of the world's largest banks are suppressing the price of silver. Okay, they're selling a lot of shorts. Okay, and trying to drive the price down, okay? But you have to remember, that's really dangerous, okay? If they get caught in a short squeeze, okay, um, what'll happen to these big banks, okay, um, is what's happened to GameStop, okay? The price would just go ballistic, okay? You could probably just choose an outrageous amount, okay, and there you have the price of gold, and the price of silver, okay. I just saw a YouTube video yesterday. It was Warren Buffett talking. He was just saying, Bitcoin will go to zero. Okay. It was quite an interesting video. I advise my netizens out there just to, check it out because, he gives his perspective in, buying different stocks. Okay. And, he gives his reasoning behind it. Okay. You have to remember, Warren Buffett is probably what the best trader. Yeah, the best trader in our century. Okay, and you have to remember he came from such a humble background. I can't believe it. Like literally, his family, had trouble buying groceries when he was growing up. Yeah, he was in that much of a financial, situation where, yeah, his family could even put food on the table. Okay, and it's quite interesting reading about. Well, I find it interesting reading about people like that because, um, he's well, he's one of the richest men in the entire world right now, right? I heard that he bought I think an oil and gas company in China, and boy, I think he made a couple of billion dollars from that, and he sold it, right? He goes into a lot of different types of businesses, and he's just so good at investing. And then when he teamed up with Charlie Munger, wow, they just the two of them were like two of the best traders in the entire world. Okay. So gold is up what, $28.60 this morning. That's 0.69%. Okay. Silver is up $1.43 this morning. Okay, that's 2.81%. That's a lot higher. Okay. Gold will break 40. I think gold will break its previous high. Probably I wouldn't be surprised with even in this week. Okay. And silver too. I think silver's high was around $53 something. Okay. And you can see we're not far from that. It's only about, a dollar away. And, when silver is jumping, what, $1.70 sometimes overnight and $1.43, it'll just blow by that. Okay. You have to remember too, there's other things that give interest too, government bonds, mutual funds, right? But, in my previous videos, I mentioned that had you bought gold 5 years ago, okay, you would have realized about 120% gain, okay? And it's continuing to climb too, okay? Hecla Mining, okay, saw that last week. Stock symbol HL. 6 months ago, it hit a low of 333. Right now, I think it's trading around $15 something, and that would have been about 400% gain. Okay, so had you invested $100 into that, okay, like I'm talking, this is just 6 months ago. Had you invested $100 in that, it would have grown to like $500, and that's really amazing because, some people have to wait sometimes years to get gains like that. Okay, and they're talking about, okay, now I'm talking about, some of the economists, the gold bugs out there, right? The precious metals, forecasters on the internet. They're saying that, okay, we're going to be in a 10-year bull market, okay, in precious metals, okay? That would be really amazing, okay? And then there's some talk even at the White House about Trump revaluing gold to $15,000 an ounce. Okay, that would probably be what? That would be about 200 and yeah, that would be about a 220% gain. Okay, and you have to remember that's been done before by a previous president a long time ago. I think it was Roosevelt that he revalued gold from $20 to $35 an ounce. You know, now, and that was what, a 75% movement. Okay, so yeah, I still remember my previous videos. Okay, I was just talking about, you know, when will gold break $50, and you know it's broken it, you know, about what, 3 weeks to a month ago, and had a pull back down to $47, right? But you know, it's right back up near its high again. So I think this time it's gonna blow right by it. Okay, I wouldn't be surprised near the end of the year. Okay, gold will be, I would, a few $100s more. Okay. I wouldn't be surprised if silver is around 60 or 70 bucks. Yeah, that much. Okay. Near the end of the year. That's my prediction. Okay.
Hi there, Rick here. So I'm just looking at my MSN Money app. It's at the end of the trading day today. So you can see that gold went higher. Okay. I'll put my mouse pointer on it. Okay. It went up $88.10, 2.14%. Okay. But when I showed it to you this morning, I believe it was under 1%. Okay, so it's approaching its 1 year high again. Okay, because it's $4,204.40. Now silver, okay, I think that was around the high before it went crashing down to like $47 something. It's at $53.33 right now. Okay, so you know, it jumped a matter of what, $2.59 today. You know, that is huge. Okay, I think another high that I saw was, you know, $2.77, and that was the highest. But you know, this is what, the second highest I've seen. Okay, $2.59. That's a 5.10% movement. That is huge. Okay. Just for silver to have a movement like that, $2.59, okay? Because, you know, there's been some predictions about silver, just, you know, watching the internet, you know, some very smart people, okay, even CEOs of mining companies, okay, saying, you know, the CEO was saying, okay, I see triple digit silver in the future. Okay, in the near future too. Okay, like he's not talking about, you know, 5 years, 10 years away, or even 3 years. You know, it just seemed like, you know, he was talking about within the next 6 months to a year. Okay, which is, you know, not far off. Okay, and I think when it hits triple digit silver, you know, $100 or more, okay, I think there's going to be a lot of people talking about it, just saying, you know, look at the price of silver these days. Wow, it's just amazing, right? Because in my opinion, okay, that gap, okay, that ratio of what, 1 to 88, it's going to close, okay?